Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. How is everyone doing? How's your Saturday been so far? It's been the weather in all over Canada. It's been up and down. There's smoke, there's rain, there's all sort of things going on, setting records for the hottest day and stuff like that. I hope you guys are having a nice, good afternoon and evening in Europe and late night in South Asia and stuff. Uh, yeah, we're back with another live. It's gonna be very nice. I have one video requested by someone. Yesterday was a great day. Alhamdulillah. There was someone who commented. He wanted to ask about the first two verses of Surah Yunus, chapter number 10 of Quran. Now we discussed that, and Alhamdulillah, they accepted Islam. It's been nothing but a blessing. Got the chance to reply to their email late night. There were a lot of questions. Asked them to take it step by step. And someone has sent me a video. There was, I think, a brother Muhammad Hijab reacted to the PVD podcast. He's obsessed with Muslims. And we're going to react to that and wait if someone wants to come and join and discuss some of whatever they want to discuss. Just gonna put the invite link. We're gonna dive into the video. Gonna make it nice, sweet, and short podcast. I have family coming over, so we're gonna be busy with that. So without further ado, let's do this.
Like an anthill.
Do you think it's easier to be a Christian today or 200 years ago, 100 years ago? What do you think?
I think 100, 200 years ago.
Why do you think?
The pressure on us, especially young people, I think really like teenagers, 20-year-olds, the culture is so opposed to Christian faith, Christian belief right now.
Wouldn't that make it harder?
So the first problem discussed in this funny podcast, I know I have some timestamps. I gotta react to that, and then if I like the video, I'm gonna end up watching it on my own personal time, and we're gonna discuss that. But as of right now, what I've heard from him states that the Christian culture is the culture in the West is so opposed to Christianity. I don't know if he was being funny or if he was being something else. Culture in West is opposed to Christianity. Claim. So, if you talk about the Western culture, the culture set up here was set up by Europeans, and whatever inclusions and freedoms and Charter of Right in Canada and the Constitution of America, everything was built on the freedom of person, and all of them were governed by Christians. So I don't know what he's talking about. And second of all, when you're talking about these things, you have to keep in mind that in Christianity, there's no concept to have a culture to make it to paradise. If you believe that Jesus came and suffered and died for your sin and rose up on the third day and this and that, you're going to end up in heaven. That's what you believe. So the 381 Constantinople Ecumenical Council, adding Holy Ghost and, different views of Catholics versus Eastern Orthodox, and Son begetting and Son spiraling from the Father and the Holy Spirit spiraling from the Son. All of these things they don't affect your salvation, so to speak. So basically, when you say that, you're just being contradictory to what your easy and lazy religion is. Anyways, I'm gonna go to this actually gonna give timestamps of this one was 10:45 on React video. Just leave it like that so you guys can see it. The next we are going to react to is 1250. 1250. I'm going to make a banner for that just so that I can show this if need be. And let's do that one again. Share that. 1250. Let's do it all the way from here. Hope you can see the thing. Let's play it.
How much you think propaganda has been around for a long time, right? How much of propaganda you think was more used 200 years ago, 100 years ago versus today? What's easier? The usage of propaganda for and or against?
So this one here is about give me a second. Just give me a second, guys. Where's the banner gone all of a sudden? Save it, show it. This is what we're discussing. So the timestamp of 1250 basically, PBD is implying and asking how much of a propaganda, be it positive or negative. But it's the other way around. 100 years, 200 years, whatever it is, Islam has been subject to more negative propaganda than everything combined. I would like to make that a claim because that's how Muslims feel. There's so much unaccounted for, uncalled for hatred and racism and prejudice towards Muslim in a lot of Western societies, especially if they're not diverse, that it's insane to believe a lot of things which people believe. And this person have been writing books and being on podcasts and stuff, and still believes in the things he's gonna say about Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam and other things, that this guy has no idea and no clue what Islam was, and he wants to hide the history of Christianity as much as he can. So that's what it is, unfortunately. Let's move on to, we're gonna go to 1730. Okay, 1730. Let's make a banner for that. So far, guys, everything has been just funny.
Imagine being able to build anything.
Human rights, right? Dignity of women, all of these things come. How did that happen? Christians were making a positive impact on society. It wasn't just about going to church. It was about transformation of the person, the transformation of the society. So there's actually a theology of being a citizen, of being a patriot. And it's not just about imposing a faith on a culture.
Let's do this. This is funny. So this was his claim. Basically, I think he's trying to say something close to the fact that Christians were being positive and this and that. I have no idea what he's talking about, especially when he says this. I'm gonna go a little bit back.
Might be examples of that in history, but in general, it was, we are providing truth, light, love, redemption.
So according to him, he's providing truth, love, light and reflection. I don't know when he was providing it, or if he's Charlie Theron from Old Guard, that he's been alive for 2,300 years or 1,600 years or this and that. Because from where I come from, Christians were not doing any of those things, and they were being very, very negative. It's starting from, I think, after Christians were burned in Lyons by Marcus Aurelius, 177, or in 258, the Cyprian, the Bishop of Carthage, you know, was refusing to give sacrifices to Roman gods, and then everything happened in before 325 and 325 Council of Nicaea, after Romans' acceptance of Christianity, which I said that Rome didn't convert to Christianity. Christianity converted into Roman pagan Greco-Roman god system and stuff. But what about what about the German Crusades? If I'm just going 1,000 years back, in 1096, the massacre of Jews. What about that? Or what about resentment of Western merchants, resulting in the massacre of Roman Catholics by fellow Christians in Constantinople? What about that? Actually, just gonna keep posting that, if that's fine by you guys. 1096 is there. I think 1182 is there. There are lots of things in the history which has been there. There was murder of the Pope's legate to Toulouse, where there was a Catharist heresy. I think in 1210 or 1208. When you say a little bit, I have no idea what you're talking about, because there were people sent by Gregory the Ninth, uh, to root out the remains of Catharist heresy in France, launching the Inquisition, or the siege of Catharist stronghold. There were 200 heretics herded into a wooden stockade and are burnt in 1244, or 1290, when Jews were driven out of England. And uh, France did the same thing. There were Knights Templars were burned at stake by the French king to destroy the order. The massacre of Jews again in 1348. There was a lot of witch hunt going on. There was a lot of other things going on, where Ferdinand and Isabella to expel from Spain all Jews, about 160,000, who will not convert to Christianity in 1492. Lots of things. Lots of things. If you're well read, and Luther's writing were burned in Rome by the order of Pope in 1520. Uh, uh, there was Pope Leo the Tenth. He excommunicates Martin Luther after he refused to recant from his thing. Muslims throughout Spain were ordered to convert to Christianity or leave the kingdom in 1525. So, to say, oh yeah, there was a little bit of this and that, that idea is insane. Insane. So I don't know what to say to this guy. He's just been making a fool of himself by saying, oh yeah, a little bit of this and that. Anyways, let's move to 2135 timestamp and see what's going on there. 2135. Let's go there. Let me make the banner first so that I can just have a smooth flow. Let's see what's going on here.
I don't want to impose my faith on other people, so I'll just be quiet. Well, we lose that war every time. And again, I'm not talking about coercing people. You must become a Christian or you're going to prison. But we still have, it's okay for us to say, okay, well, if you're going to cite, Karl Marx and Shea and all these guys, well, I'm going to quote Moses. I'm going to quote Jesus Christ, St. Paul. Like, let's go. Battle of ideas.
So you see, guys, how the words of war, when talking about spreading the gospel, and he's talking about the word battle in the battle of ideas, you can see how aggressive that person is. And the reason for that is the loss that they feel as a religion. And even the chart they showed about 2.1 billion plus Christians who identify themselves as Christians, they're not Christians anymore. You can go and ask anyone about Trinity, and they won't be able to tell you this basic thing about that. You can ask anyone to read the chapter from Bible by heart. They can do that. They can even do for us at least 10 passages. They can do a lot of things. And then when you are talking about Moses and Jesus, how the hell from Moses and Jesus you came all the way back down to Saint Paul and call him a saint? If Jesus said that the false prophet's gonna come and is gonna teach something which I have not taught, because Jesus taught and asked to keep the law of Moses, and Moses taught his commandments. So if you're preaching about Moses, first of all, I would like to know how you jump from Moses to Jesus to St. Paul. Where are the other prophets? Where are other prophets who are considered chief rabbis for Jews, which are included in your, so to speak, Hebrew Bible made Old Testament in the biblical canon? Where are they? What were they been preaching for past 4,000 years? And you coming along and changing that thing for something else? If you're going to talk about Moses, what are you going to say? Moses was preaching, Aaron was preaching, Joshua was preaching Trinity. That's what you're going to tell. Or if they were fighting wars, that's what you're going to tell, and pretend that, we are all love and peace and this and that. I have no idea about this guy's mental state. Riled me up for no reason. I usually don't do that. Okay, anyways. Continuing the pattern, let's go to 24 timestamp. 24. Okay, what's that? Let me just remove this from here for a bit. So 24 timestamp. There's gonna be something going on, and then that's gonna be his, so to speak, claim. Okay. Hide this one. At stage 24, right? I think there's going to be ad popping up there. Let's do close to 50.
Yeah, I don't disagree. The question then becomes to isolate this topic of Islam, right? Muslim, and you see stats on what's going on in UK, in Europe,
Mm.
and a lot of different places. And Rob, can you pull up the one chart we showed earlier today about who's leaving UK in different countries and where they're going to their net migration of millionaires? And this is business people that are job creators that you got to look at and say, why are people leaving? So here's a chart. I don't know if you've seen this or not. If you look at this and zoom in all the way to the bottom, okay, millionaire migration in 2025. Look at UK. They will lose the most millionaires due to sweeping tax changes and the closure of investor visas. On top of that, what is happening over there? The migration that's coming in. And then look at all the other countries you're looking at and go all the way to the top. If you go all the way to the top, it used to be US number one, UAE is number one ahead of US, and you got a few other guys. And new poll came out that CNN was showing, whether it's New York Times, whether it's CBS, whether it's ABC, whether it's anybody, the number one issue for them is immigration to get it squared away in America. They're not comfortable with it. And the pattern,
So, guys, all of these crying and, millionaires are migrating. There are young millionaires in their 20s, in their 30s who prefer to live in a world. And I think he and Myron from Fresh and Fit have done podcasts about passport bros, where they're going to Asian women and Muslim countries and finding someone to marry them. Even Muslim Americans are going there and Muslim Britishers are going there. The reason for that is the fact that the amount of taxes you have to pay and the amount of things you get in return and the amount of things your country is shipping money out to fund everyone else and not take care of homeless people and education and healthcare in your own country is what making them, and it's being decisive in taking their time out, studying about something, going to experience the culture and country and the lifestyle, and finally moving there and creating jobs there. And that's going to happen 10 out of 10 times, because if you go to Middle East, if you go to Malaysia, if you go to Indonesia, if you go to the 6 7 separated countries from Russia, who are all Muslims, if you go to Morocco, all of these places, even if you guys should YouTube some of the cities in Africa's downtown, and you see how they are nice, and the things and the safety, especially you get in Middle East, Muslim first world countries, is exceptional. So for you to cry about it, and then you have been recycling the garbage about jizya versus state tax, where you're paying northwards of 20-25% to all the way to 40 to 51 to 53% if you're in a bigger bracket of tax. And there have been movements, and there people are on the street asking millionaires to be and billionaires and top 1% to be taxed more. But they're smart, they know how to show their liabilities and tax, and how liquid they are and stuff like that. Obviously people are going to move there. And with jizya, or what Muslim people pay as zakat, as a pillar of Islam, is so suitable and apt, where people have no idea, and they're like, they think that this is kind of discrimination and prejudice towards non-Muslims living in the rule of Islam, that they have to pay jizya for their safety and stuff, which is still less than what Muslims pay. So these are all the reasons. The longer you're going to keep stretching the wrong propaganda, and gonna stop and refrain the acknowledgement of how perfectly apt the system is given by God, and you're not gonna pick up on that, it's all your fault. It's not our fault, it's not anyone else's fault, it's your fault. So there's no need to be crying about that. Anyways, after all of this crying and stuff, we're gonna move to 2630 timestamp and see what's going on there. Remove this from the stage.
of saber to saber fight with the Muslim. And I think they're afraid. I think they no longer, their cup is empty. They no longer have the faith of their fathers that inspired them to go out and die outside the gates of Vienna or die outside the walls of Constantinople. They've lost the faith. And so I think when they see the violent enemy, there's just fear.
How do you change that?
You have to convert people. You have to create people who are fully in with the heart and the mind into.
Absolutely wonderful. So he's talking about Europeans and the region experiencing battles with Muslims, and they don't feel the courage that their forefathers and ancestors have to fight. Well, it's not the case, because the countries and NATO forces have been fighting for their countries. Poor or people who are young, they're forced to be in the army and go fight for rich man's war. I always like to say, poor people, they die defending borders, and rich people, they just cross the borders for a cup of tea or some food and stuff, right? Anyways, the problem is where you're saying that you have to convert people. So there can be two conversions. Muslims coming, you can convert them, or what you were referencing and lingering your point, actually leveraging your point with the Christians in France and Poland, Vienna, and this and that. Those people are already Christians, and now they're atheists and they don't believe in Christianity, even if they identify as Christians. So they don't care what's happening to Christianity. You writing a book and being on podcasts and wearing a fancy suit and looking like a smug and openly admitting to your ignorance of the world and history. uh, Europeans or even Americans mostly are not like that. And you can open a lot of street preachers in California and pride parades. And you can, in fact, there's a YouTube channel who goes around and asks people, do you believe in Jesus? And they don't even want to give a single second of their time to listen about their God. They don't give a shit. They don't care, man. They just want to be back at work. They don't want to be whole when they're trying to grab a cup of coffee. Never happens with Islam. So those hearts of your fellow so-called quote unquote Christians, you cannot convert them. They have left your faith and they have bought into the idea that nobody can judge me. I'm going to be lazy. I'm going to accept, I'm going to associate myself with Jesus dying for my sin. And if there's an afterlife, I'm good. I'm good to go. I'm going to end up in paradise. And, unfortunately, if you're an idolater and you believe in a man God and you associate partners with one true God, you're not going to end up in heaven at all. So this is one battle which you, as you phrased it, you cannot win. And Muslims don't think of it as a battle. Muslims, the responsibility of Muslim is to convey the message of truth. And when you reject or deny, it's up to you. The guidance is from God. And we just try to follow the sunnah of all the prophets when they preached and they told everyone about one true God and to worship him and to obey him. If you don't do that, even Quran says this about Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam, that you are there just to be a warner and to give the message. It's up to Allah for everything else, right? So we are not better than Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam. He is the best of the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We cannot even come close to his companions, his family, and all other prophets. So no, Muslims don't think of it as a battle or anything. They do it for good deeds for themselves and they want a better life for you. Christians, they are always talking and looking about numbers and stuff and printing articles. Islam is growing fastest. Islam is growing fastest amongst the women. European women are converting to Islam. Doesn't help me. if someone has converted in Europe, the brother or sister who converted her is going to get all the good deeds for it. Yeah, she's going to have a nice home in paradise if she dies upon faith that there's one true God and believing in all 6 articles of Islam. Yeah, sure. But to me, it doesn't. So, but you taking your time out and coming here and saying, no, we have to convert people, that's insane. Spoke a lot in 2 minutes, eh? Anyway, so gonna go to 2958. 2958. Oh, that was kind of close. Let's see what happens here. 2950. I think the ad's gonna pop or something. 2958. What's this?
If you look at 2.3 billion to 2 billion, go up percentage to look at the percent. We're at 28.8. They're at 25.6. We looked at the numbers, Rob, on how much they've improved in the last 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50 years. You'll notice they went from nothing, you know, 600 million to 2 billion like this. More kids, all this other stuff. So then the question becomes, are we, in the insurance company, we used to call something fast start. You become a new recruit, we get you licensed, we get you to go out there and start selling, okay? The same recruit can be fast started by 5 different people, and one can be a lousy insurance agent, one can be okay, one can be good, one can be great, one is a professional. No complaints, no issues, proper business, follow up right way, asking for referrals, respectful, sending letters, sending cards, treating them well, being good citizen in the community where everybody trusts the way you're handling them. So to me, then, it isn't necessarily on whether we're converting or not, is how soft are the pastors and the priests at church, similar to your previous pope that you had, where they're almost apologetic. Hey, they're allowing the transgenders to come into church and get on the pulpit. I don't know if you remember that clip. I'm like, what is he doing? What are you doing having dinner with? This is how it's supposed to look like now, that we're supposed to be allowing the standards to be as messy. This was it, I think it was a year ago, right? A transgender woman to have lunch with the Pope. Rob, where is this, by the way? This is,
I think it was Italy.
I'm not sure. I'll have to look.
You can keep playing it, Rob. Keep playing it. Let me see the clip. So I'm trying to get to the point where the go a little bit fast forward to see what it is. I'm sure you remember this.
Yeah.
While this is happening. So then, to me, what ends up happening when I see this, I see you are discipling weak disciples. You're discipling weak by not equipping them with the right.
It's funny how he looks at the left as if he's trying to do something or, trying to make something happen. I'm not sure about that, but it's funny to me because he's crying about sloppy conversions, and he's so that's when the faith has already lost, when the highest echelons, the top of the top of the top, the cream, the first look you get from the top as a viewer, the Pope, when he goes against when he goes against your own religion, and a person sitting in America is talking about questioning Pope what the hell he's doing, it's totally reversed and upside down. You cannot bring it back. And second of all, if you think that being transgender or something like that is bad as per your religion, what book are you talking about? Because the same book all the way up to Malachi talks about something else and keeping the law, and so do Jesus. But then Paul says that law was a curse and Jesus took upon the curse and now it's to be done with. So what's your problem with transgenderism? If you follow Saint, quote unquote, Paul, As I like to call him Naughty Paul. What's your problem with that? And you would never see a major religious giant TV personality coming up and criticizing uh, uh, Imam Bukhari or Imam Muslim or Imam Malik. You won't see that. And these are the things which are very evident in these. And even for the people who are appointed by kings as, imams and leading prayer people for the two holy mosques, the Haramain, the the mosque in Mecca and Masjid al-Nabawi alayhi salatu wassalam, both of them, you would never find them talking about, inclusion and, accepting someone to be gay or wife beaters and stuff like that. You never find anything of them preaching openly about something which is in direct, especially directly against the verses of Quran. You would never find that. Never ever. Just give me a second. Now after that, we are gonna hop on to 3455. 3455. Okay, great. Let's go there. This to stage 3455. Should be good from here. It's comedy all the way.
Thinking this is bad. On my podcast, I started being critical, and a lot of Catholics came after me. How dare you say that? He's the Pope and all that. And I said, well, look, we have over 200 previous popes. We have all these saints. We have all these dogmas and doctrine. Let's just compare what he's saying to the massive list of things we have, and it doesn't match up. There's some problems here, real problems. And I caught a lot.
And so that is another problem with Christianity. They rely so heavily before on church, and this still Catholics do. In a way, I think there have been 266 or something like that popes all over their 2,000-year history. But when Catholics are going after other Catholics and saying, how dare you criticize our Pope? And this person's trying to explain it to them that, he's going against all the other popes, mostly 200 plus of them, who did not preach and accept these things. So yeah, that's on you, brother. That has nothing to do with Islam. Let's go to 3735. 3735. Okay, let's see what's here. 3735. Claim. Okay, 3735. What does it say there? 37. Let's do from 25, I guess. Because I'm not able to go exactly there.
Atlas Shrugged, you've read Communist Manifesto. I've read both of the books. He's a communist. And you're seeing what's happening with him. Ilhan Omar, you're seeing Detroit, Dearborn, you're seeing in your area, Colleyville, not Colleyville, but Plano, where they're building the Epic Center that, the governor is trying to work ahead. Our system and our Constitution has left it open for them to be able to come and infiltrate if they want to. There's nothing about our Constitution that doesn't allow them to.
So now he's attacking the Constitution. He thinks it's bigger than the Constitution, the Constitution which they're proud about when they go to Bill Maher or anywhere else, that, Constitution, the army, the American soldiers are protecting the Constitution and freedom of America. Yeah, and stuff like that, right? So now you have a problem with the same Constitution. and you have the problem with freedom. You don't have problems with Catholic school. You don't have problems with Baptist schools. You don't have problem with Jewish school, but you have problem with Texas approved, state approved Islamic school, where they have the curriculum which state of Texas reviews, or any other state in America, or any province or territory in Canada approves, so that those people can get admission into colleges and universities. Now you have a problem with that. There are a lot of racist people coming out and talking about Epic Islamic School and how they have bought acres of land and they're going to do this, and I'm not comfortable. Now, one woman said, my husband is already looking for houses in the other area. That's okay. That's fine. People move for ISDs. It's good. The more Muslims are going to move there, you can move to a different ISD. You can move to Frisco. You can move to Prosper. You can move to Salina. You can go to a Little Elm. You can move wherever you want. They're doing the same thing in Houston with Al Huda Islamic Schools, a $7 billion project. So what? It's a state approved. They have multiple facilities. And if you're going to go there, you're going to actually not going to end up being a teenage pregnant girl and stuff like that, which happens in other high schools. You don't have a problem with that. You don't have problems with, I see it every day on Instagram where mothers are doing this and that to their kids because they want to marry someone. The new boyfriend doesn't want kids, this and that. All of those things, babysitters, 24 hours nannies, this and that. You don't have problem with that, but you have a problem with American Constitution. You have problem with state approving something, and you have problem with a religious school. You're not going to come up and say the same thing about Buddhists or Hindus or Catholics, but you're going to come up here and you'll be like, oh, our Constitution allows this. How can this happen? It's preposterous. Gee. Holy. Anyways, moving to more comedy on minute 40. That would be last one for me, guys, because it's already exceeded half hour mark. Let's do 40. I hope the ad doesn't pop up here. I would have something to say of my own. Let's do it from here.
On that concept, you're done. You're going to lose. You're going to be replaced. And so it's a chapter in the book in having a real conversation of what is marriage? What is family? Why do we have children? What is the purpose of matrimony? How do we raise our children? And are we truly open to being above replacement levels? That's a conversation. I don't think the Overton window has moved that far yet, but we need to get the over.
Guys, come on. This was way too funny and too easy for me. What are you guys doing? This is child's play. So this guy is basically promoting his book, and he's talking about a chapter in his book about marriage in Western society and what is family, what are kids, and this and that. When you have gone against something in Bible where there's no room for divorce, especially for women, and when you have gone against any other thing and you're like, we're going to make a constitution and we're going to make rights for everybody, whoever wants to get divorced, the men's are going to get ripped off for the most part because they have been the breadwinner in America mostly. And 50% of this is going to go, you have to pay alimony. They have to take women's claim for domestic violence very seriously, and most of the time without any proof, and just on the basis of their word and stuff like that. And then you have kids and foster care system, and you're paying people to adopt kids, and there's a pool and selection of people who can pick up kids and adopt them. All of this is a recipe for a society which is free. You can walk out. That's why people are not even marrying now, because if they're gonna get everything which they desire in a marriage without marriage, they're not gonna get married, and they're not gonna reproduce, because your religion doesn't ask them to take care of kids. Your religion is against your own constitution, and you're trying to promote it in a society where young people cannot afford to get married. They cannot afford to buy a house, repay their student loan, you cannot ask anyone to get married once you have this culture of, going out and hooking up and this and that. I don't want to go into those details, and it gets graphic and stuff. The internet is there. I think he's going to talk about the corn stuff and too. Yeah, it's hilarious. And when I think this one, someone messaged me in private chat saying that they talked about Muslims coming and changing something in America, or if I think PBD says something about people who are coming in, and if that city is on a decline and the crime rates increase, what are we waiting for to make a decision? So I want to share something on those notes for this dumbass. Let's just do a simple search, guys. It's not even a big deal, guys. It's child's play. Look at this. Look at this, guys. This is what I searched. What happened to natives when Europeans came to North America? I don't have to go that far back. Look at this. Disease, violence, displacement, and cultural disruption led to dramatic decline in their numbers and way of life. It's right there, guys. Not making this up. Read this. Number one, disease. 80 to 95% of Native American population died within the first 150 years of contact. Violence and warfare. Well, we have discovered mass graves even in Saskatchewan, Canada. Displacement and forced relocation of indigenous people. Trail of tears, and I don't want to go into that. Cultural disruption. They're forced to assimilate indigenous people into European culture. Depletion of resources. Well, it's a well-known fact. So, need I say more, guys? Need I say more? This is funny from top to bottom, and we can do multiple other things. Let's do this one. Let's do just a simple search. It's not even, let's go to mostly Spanish people, guys. Let's do this. South America, when Spanish and other Europeans came. Look at this. The native population declined due to disease, forced labor, and warfare. Demographic collapse goes to disease, forced labor, warfare, and violence, significant loss of life, lack of adequate food and healthcare, overwork, poor living conditions, high mortality rates, cultural and social changes, imposition of European culture, primarily Catholicism, erosion of indigenous traditions, ways of life, religious practices, social organization, artistic expressions were disrupted or lost. Forced relocation, economic transformation, extraction of resources. We know about the gold and everything. Shift to European economic systems with trade and mining and this and that, benefiting the colonizers, Spaniards. Political control, loss of autonomy, establishment of colonial governments and stuff. So when they talk about, oh, you gotta come here and you have to assimilate in our culture and this and that, that is just funny. And at this point, to be frank, insane. And let's do to the person who translated the Bible from Latin to English, and it was kind of taken from his works into the KJV. Let's do just a simple search. There we go. What happened to William Tyndale? The English scholar and reformer was executed in 1536 for heresy and treason. He was convicted of translating Bible into English. Yeah, that is super duper funny for Christians to say, oh yeah, we peace message, love message, this message, that message. Are you guys kidding me? Are you guys kidding me? You guys have the most violent history as far as Jews are concerned, Muslims are concerned, anyone's concerned. Well, so that's what it is, guys. I'm gonna wait for a few more minutes. If someone wants to join, they're more than welcome to do so. Come and defend your faith, and we go on from there. Let's do this. Be right back. Assalamu alaikum. Sorry, guys, I'm back. I think somebody requested defender of Bible, and then he left, leaving some messages. Say, hello, would love to debate with you. Few topics in mind. Okay, sure, yeah, whenever. I'm not mostly a debate kind. I make a statement, and you can take all day to defend it. If it changes my mind, you win. If it doesn't change my mind at the end of the day, um, you know, so yeah, the debate basically is when a person has already prepared their opening monologues, adhering to mods and rebutting the points and taking people's questions. It's not constructive, or it's not, conducive to something positive. Whereas you leave a statement and let that person ponder over it on their own time, and ask for guidance from the one true creator of everything. That is the best way to go. And there are lots of arguments and points that have been debated and stuff. Everything is out there. There's nothing new under the sun. If you guys want to debate about something, try going somewhere else. But if you want to have a nice dialogue and have to be non-contradictory, we can talk about that. Sure. Yeah. See you, brother. Take care. So yeah, that's where we are, guys. Almost the end of stream. Gonna stick around for 5 more minutes and see if anything good is happening. Otherwise, see you tomorrow, inshallah.